Your hand upon each and every one of them, Lord, as we move forward into the future. Again, I thank you for all the representation that are here tonight. Lord, we just pray that what takes place is always for your glory. May we be mindful that we always serve you. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. It's good to see this crowd here tonight. Before we begin, we do not have our regular signs up for who we are representing the city of Cherryville, and I want to start with my extreme right. Ward 1 is Gary Freeman, Ward 2, John Abernathy, Ward 3, Jill Pewitt, and Ward 4, Malcolm Parker, and I am your mayor, H.L. Bean. The first item we have on our agenda tonight is to approve the agenda as presented. Do I have direction from council?
Make a motion to approve agenda.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? There is none. Next item will be approval of A, the minutes of City Council meeting of October the 11th. B, the City Council closed session minutes of October the 11th. C, our City Council rescheduled work session meeting of October 26th. And D, our City Council closed session minutes of October 26th. What is the council's pleasure?
Make a motion that we approve all of these together, the City Council meeting and the work session of closed session of October the 11th, and the City Council rescheduled work session and the closed session as of October 26th.
Second.
Having a motion and a second to approve all 4 minutes as presented to council tonight. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and there is none. Next item is the mayor's comments. First of all, I would like to welcome all of our citizens here tonight. Your presence here is an indication of your interest and concern for your city government. This goes also to any of the citizens that are listening or viewing via social or city media that is available tonight. I want to thank all of our citizens that came out to vote this past Tuesday. The city's turnout was more than expected, and this was indication as Precinct 36, located at Second Baptist Church, ran out of ballots, and voters had to wait as long as 30 minutes for new ballots to come from Gastonia. In the end, over 1,000 voters turned out, and I was fortunate enough to be reelected to serve my 5th term, 2-year term as your mayor. At this time, I want to acknowledge some of the individuals that were most beneficial in helping with my campaign. The first would be Jerry and Linda Hudson, that spent days on the phone requesting support for my campaign. I want to recognize the bold move made by 2 of my council members, Malcolm Parker and Jill Pewitt, to lend their faithful support and to labor so hard for my reelection. Finally, I want to thank my 2 daughters and sons-in-law for believing in me and giving of their time on election day to bring this campaign to a victory. I love all of these people and their tireless efforts of support. I firmly believe that this was a victory not just for me, but for my city council and its members as well. The dawning duty now before this council is to begin work to interview and choose our next city manager. My hope is that this council will come together as one and complete this mission by December 1st, 2021. Interviews will begin as soon as tomorrow night, and they will last sometime until November to complete this process. I ask all of you as citizens of Cherryville to pray for this council as they go about this challenging task. Now, on Thursday, Veterans Day, I will be visiting and honoring the veteran residents of Somerset Court of Cherryville. Accompanying me will be Council Member Jill Pewitt, who is the American Legion Auxiliary President for the Department of North Carolina, and there will also be other dignitaries there as well. And then on Friday, this Friday, November the 12th, I will be speaking at this year's City Revival. The festivities will begin at 6:30 p.m. and will continue with a faith fair starting at 2 p.m. on Saturday, November the 13th, and that will be in our mini park. Or it'll be, I think, from Jacob Street to the mini park. I urge all of you citizens to attend if possible. And this completes the mayor's comments. And at this time, the next item is citizens to be heard. Now, citizens that wish to speak so may do so by coming to the podium, stating your name and address, and remember, comments will be strictly held to 5 minutes per person. And at this time, I have quite a few people that have signed up to speak, and I will do them in the order that you arrived. And at this time, I think our first citizen to speak is Greg Paysewer. It's Greg. City Clerk, will you begin the timer? Okay.
First of all, congratulations to all of you. My name is Greg Paysewer. I have no idea up here. For some reason, I had told you of an election. My wife is here. You have emergency. I really appreciate it. You've been on my side for a long time. Back in August, I almost couldn't make it. But my cousin and him on the phone today. Wow, that was a long time. I made it out of the hospital. Barely. So I'm here tonight. I'm talking about people, but I'm going to mention names. I've done a lot of people that's really made 5 ancestral genealogy. But there's one or two then. I've been doing that for many, many years. I was president of Broad River for 4 years. And I'm not bragging about myself, but they went from an average of 13 people at their meetings to over 50. So I was president. When I left there, now they still have over 50 coming to their meetings. I was asked to be on the museum board in Cherryville. And I hate to say it, but it's right here. Going to Cherryville wasted 1 hour or 1 hour and a half of my time. They didn't get a thing. Nobody the whole time mentioned anything about promoting the museum. Nobody. I couldn't get met. So I continued, and finally I just decided I wasn't going back. I could help the museum another way. I never had my name on the Facebook site. It never was. It was only the museum. But today, there's about 2,000 people following that site. 3 weeks ago, I quit it. There's several reasons I quit. Didn't want to quit, but I had to. On May the 12th, I started posting. Several people in this room probably was following that site. I know one said she really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I like to see people be happy, and I was making people happy. But they didn't know it was me. I put people's wedding pictures. Now, 90% of them came from the museum. A lot of them came from what I was doing. For 5 weeks, 20 minutes to 4 hours a day, I was posted. I didn't get paid to do that. All of a sudden, June 19th, I get an email from the TV station wanting to do the history of Cherryville. Immediately, I called the museum director and told her that it was working. People were following it. TV station was going to do the history of Cherryville. It made me feel good. So I called, if I remember correctly, I called Vicki Sperling. After I talked to the museum director, and I talked to a couple people, and they said Rocky Bennett knew a lot about baseball. The TV guy, his name's John, he didn't know Cherryville was well known for baseball. He didn't know about the New Year's shooters. He did know about Carolina Freight. And I told him Cherryville was more than Carolina Freight, even though Carolina Freight's important. So that was on the 19th. I talked to him some more on Monday and sent him an email, and he sent me an email back. And I said, well, I'm going to call Jeff Cash. I had done Jeff Cash's genealogy, and I thought he was a real nice guy.
Greg, I'm gonna have to interrupt you. 5 minutes are up, and we have a lot of people to speak tonight.
It's up now.
Yeah, 5 minutes is up. About a minute.
But anyway,
1 minute if you want to wrap it up.
I'm sorry for taking so much time. He said immediately when I asked him about the history of Cherryville, he said, well, we need to get David Day involved. And I was having heart problems. My blood pressure went up. I couldn't breathe. So I had to ignore him. Plus, I didn't want the guy. And when David Day got involved, first thing he wanted to know was a telephone number and all this stuff. I couldn't let the guy in Charlotte think Cherryville was a bunch of idiots. So I didn't let him know anything. I just sat back and watched. And finally, August the 2nd, I'd had enough. I called the mayor. I think that night I was in the emergency room in Charlotte. That wasn't the reason. It would have happened anyway. There's a lot more I wanted to say, but my time is up. But it got hijacked. I was doing it for the museum and Cherryville. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, next person that has signed up is Beth Vallee. Beth, if you can state your name and address.
Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak tonight and hearing our concerns. I am Beth Vallee. I live at 109 Old Coach Lane off Bud Black Road across from Walmart. I have lived here for 23 years. My neighborhood has one entrance and exit for the subdivision, just like what I understand this new subdivision in Delview would also have. The first section of my neighborhood has covenants and restrictions governing certain aspects like fences and outbuildings and minimum square feet of the homes, but we found they are unenforceable unless the neighbors want to pull money together and hire a lawyer. I already knew that because I was president of the Homeowners Association for the Meadows at Ferris Farm in Charlotte, where our covenants and restrictions were only as good as the lawyer our homeowners' dues could afford. The Meadows at Ferris Farm was part of a 1,000 home subdivision of cookie cutter houses. The Ferris Farm subdivision was a farm that had been turned into a subdivision, much like Sumi Knoll in Dallas, where everybody goes trick-or-treating now in Dallas. It had one entrance and one exit for that 1,000 homes. 6 school buses picked up kids from that neighborhood alone. That's in addition to the parents that drove their kids to school. Getting out to work in the mornings was awful. I enjoyed living in Ferris Farm. The kids had a lot of friends to play with. They played ball and rode their bikes in the cul-de-sacs since the yards were not very big. We had nice sidewalks for strolling babies. We had a common area of green space with a pond, but we did not let kids play around for liability reasons and because drug paraphernalia was often found in the wooded area surrounding it. I could stand on my stoop and see 13 doors. An autistic girl lived across the street, and one of the little boys had a colon surgery and wore a colostomy bag while he played. My neighbors were black on one side and Mexican on the other. When we moved here, the teacher said my kids were very well-rounded, and I attribute that to what they did see in that neighborhood. My neighbors were wonderful. That was a good thing. We liked each other because one morning when I had an appointment and did not have time for a picky child, my son laid outside of my bathroom door and cried while I showered. Note, all the windows were closed. Later that day, the neighbor said, "So I hear," and I won't tell you which child because y'all might know him. "I hear he didn't get enough syrup on his pancakes today." So that's to be understood. Our lot was 0.19 acres. We could not drive our cars between the houses and the lot lines without running over the lot lines. We like our neighbors now, but not everyone did. One owner purchased and sold within 2 years because of too many barking dogs on Old Coach Lane. I can understand that. She lived across from the man who more than once knocked on my door and asked if he could come in my yard because his dogs had treated coon. That's one of the reasons I moved here. It's a rural area. That's understandable. I have 2.62 acres. It was advertised as 2.86 acres, but when we bought the property, but when we had it surveyed, we realized it was only 2.62. The county and even our closing lawyer said, "What's the big deal? You saw what you were getting?" The land they seemed to think was no big deal was 0.24 acres, enough to build a house by city standards. It turns out the former owner sold some land to my neighbor, and both had the property on our tax records, and the county was getting taxes from both of us for it. The size of the lot in the proposed subdivision that will be discussed today are about the size of my lot in Charlotte. It was not even, that amount of land was not even noticed by the owners of my house now when the taxes were being paid for twice. And the idea of so big deal. That's how much land was missing off my lot, and people didn't even think it was a big deal. That's the lot that these houses would be on. Is it? Okay, sorry. Do I have any time left? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before we go any further, anyone that is addressing basically the same question that any previous person has, I would appreciate it if you would just relinquish your time to them, because we have quite a few people that want to speak tonight, and we don't need to be repetition with what we're bringing before council. The council hears you, I promise they do, and we will act after hearing everyone that wishes to speak. This time I would also like to acknowledge the absence of our city manager. His mother is having an operation, and he wanted to be with his mother, which is very understandable. And that's why our city manager is not with us tonight. Next person I have down to speak is Johny Clayton.
I'm Donnie Harrelson Clayton, and I live at 1268 Shelby Highway, which is about 2 driveways down from Hal Strapp's property. My grandfather, in fact, my great-grandfather owned the land. My grandmother lived there until she passed, and my mother owned the land. And then when my mother passed, we bought the land from her. I was born here in Cherryville, and Hal Strapp's children and Hal Strapp are my cousins. So I have many fond memories of this beautiful land. And our land actually backs up to their property, and our springs actually feed the pond back there. Very beautiful, but years ago, Hal Strapp and my grandfather had a gentleman's handshake and said, let's build this pond back here. My grandfather provided the water. Hal and my grandfather worked together to build the dam and to create the pond back there. Both of them needed it for farming, my grandfather, and for farming Housetrap's nursery. So my greatest concern tonight that I would like to address, though, is the fact that I live on Highway 150, and it is a very busy road. More than 1,000 cars pass by my house. And from the city limits to Housetrap's driveway, it's less than half a mile. It's 3/10 of a mile from my house. When people come out of the city and go from Lincolnton to Shelby and back and forth, that's a very busy road. And nobody really governs that area. And I really feel that it would be proper and in order for a traffic quality study to be done prior to talking to a rezone. Because number one, right now, who is the one that's going to pay for any of the infrastructure needed for this road? Whenever you have, if you put 600 homes in there, 1,200 more cars plus. And the lucrative jobs are going to be in Charlotte, Shelby, Lincolnton, going that way, going out through the Cherryville town. If you have to widen the road, just looking to the future, has that been addressed? And I think that if you would do a traffic quality control study and thinking about Acre Circle as well, just it looks like too many homes to be to have that kind of traffic load. There's other things that I'm sure that y'all have looked at because, I mean, I thank God for y'all. You have on your website it says, "In God We Trust." And I'm very blessed to have that. And I really feel like when we look at our rural town and the things that are happening to, as far as traffic in the world today, it's very different than what it used to be. And I know that there's more things that I'm sure you all have researched and done your homework on a lot of these things. But I just feel like, you know, the Bible states in Matthew 7:12, it says, whatever you want to do to others, you do that to them. And it's like Jesus' second commandment. He really said, love your neighbor as yourself. And we're all neighbors, and y'all are our neighbors, and y'all have a great responsibility. And so I really want to thank you for your job that you do, and just ask that we have good, extensive studies for infrastructure and what's going to happen there, so that the taxpayers that are taking care of what happens until this comes about will know what they're facing to have to pay for, and in the future what's going to happen with that as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next person that I would like to speak, and it may be the person answer some of the concerns, maybe some questions that may come up in regards to this property, and that is Michael Foster. Would you like to speak?
This is Michael Fess, Brookway Drive in Huntersville, North Carolina. First, I just want to thank Derek Mackey for setting up this last Friday night's community information meeting on short notice. Really appreciate everything he did by doing that and allowing us to get in front of the residents and hearing their concerns firsthand. And he's with DPR Associates. He's our land planner, design engineer. He and I worked all weekend to figure out how can we address all of these issues. So we worked all weekend, and that's when we sent the email to Derek and to you, Mr. Mayor, and I hope it got out to the rest of the council members. And regarding to some of the items we wanted to include based on what we heard. And some of that, those revisions include reducing the number of lots by over 25%. So we're committing to do no more than 490. It's also committing to do a traffic impact study based on those 490s, and that will basically determine what improvements we need to make at the entrances and access points of the community to address all those traffic concerns. We also heard about some of the concerns with the residents on Acre Circle with construction traffic. So we agreed, or we voluntarily recommended we should put a gate up there during development to prevent construction traffic from going down Acre Circle. And so, as well as an additional 30-foot tree save buffer between the rear yards of Acre Circle and the rear yards of the proposed houses that are going to go there. And that at 30 feet will be a dedicated tree save area maintained by the HOA. So it'll never be cut down. So, and then Mr. Gannell's property at the Pecan Ridge Farms, he was concerned about the houses that were going to back up to the chicken farms. So we voluntarily offered to increase that buffer, natural tree save area, to over 100 feet there, or right at 100 feet, then to create that separation so he can enjoy his working farm and not have to worry about the residents. So there's many more revisions that we added in there, and I know my time's not going to allow me to address them all. But I just want to say that we heard a lot of your residents' concerned. We worked all weekend to address as much as we could.
Will the home still be on city utilities?
Yes.
I'm hearing talk that it's gonna be REA.
REM's electrical was already,
Power's coming off of me back there on the back 20.
yes, that's correct.
They done surveyed it out, and it's coming off a power line pole from the back 20 back there. But they done got stobs in the ground and everything and surveyed it out. So it's coming off of me back there on, which house there sold me 20, I'll tell you in a minute. Okay.
So Rutherford Electric currently owns the lines going through the property right now. And North Carolina Utility Commission has what's called corridor rights, where it gives the right to that utility 300 feet on either side of that line. So the majority of this property, Rutherford Electric already has the corridor rights to it. And so I tried to work with Brandon Abernathy, and he's like, there's nothing that Cherryville can do. But water and sewer will be provided by the city of Cherryville. There's plenty of capacity in the existing raw water treatment plant as well as the wastewater treatment plant. Worked with Brandon Abernathy again on that just to make sure the capacity is there, and there is. There's
So we've
plenty.
done a study to determine whether or not Indian Creek, the source of Cheryl's water, will support all these new homes.
Yes, yes, Mr. Abernathy gave me that, and I have my notes over there, and I can give you those exact figures he gave me. So, currently, that plant isn't even using 50% of its capacity. I think it's more around a third of the capacity, and this is just going to add another 20 or 30% of the existing capacity on top. So it won't even bring it up to 50% capacity by adding these. So, thank you.
Thank you. Brandon, do you have anything that you want to add to that, what Mr. Best is?
Mayor, no, his numbers were correct. As far as capacity wise, we're operating at about a third in water and wastewater. So, I had spoke with him earlier and give him the facts from the capacities of both plants.
So, wait a minute, all this water's coming down Lick Fork Creek, right?
No, sir, it comes down Indian Creek.
Yeah,
Lick
but
Fork comes in below the
yeah, but
intake.
the sewer line comes down Lick Fork. I own Lick Fork Creek and Duckwee Hunt Road now. Creek.
Okay.
I own both creeks. So I know where the sewer line is, comes down from Delview and Dewey Farms and all of them, comes down Lick Fork, down on Shaw's property, and comes on down, goes down to Indian Creek. They put in a 15-inch line back. I got some of the old pipe in the ground down there to give me to put in culverts with, and I can measure it, but I think it ain't but a 15-inch pipe. You think all this is gonna hold that 15-inch pipe coming down, water coming and sewer coming down through there?
Yes, sir, I do.
You done got beam crest home on it, Carolina Care, and you got plumb up 274 there and everything, but yeah, but I got a good bit to say. Carry on.
Anything else, Mayor? Yes, sir.
Brandon, if we had a drought like we had years ago, we could hook on to Lincoln and Cleveland County is also bringing water to us, right, in the future?
Yes, sir. Not only do we have an interconnect with Lincoln Ton, we have an interconnect with Lincoln County, and Cleveland County has already approached us for an interconnect as well. Normally, when we're in a drought, they're in a drought as well, so it would be conservation all the way around.
Wait a minute
But-
now. 2012, I went to Upper Cleveland County and asked for water to come down Doc William Road, and you guys denied it and would not give up the pipeline right away. So that is not an option.
No, sir, we don't have easements or right-of-ways down there
That's
anyway.
right, you don't, but I'm saying.
So I couldn't have denied them even if I tried.
I come to council and asked that for that in 2012.
I thought
and it
you-
was declined.
I thought you approached us to extend water and we denied it.
They did. They
Not
said
Cleveland County.
Upper Cleveland County offered to extend it to loop it around down Doc William Road, and you guys would not give up the pipeline right away.
We don't have right-of-way there. That's,
Because we're in the ETJ, and that reverts back to the
We-
county. It got confusing there.
yeah, we
I'll have
don't,
my time.
we don't have right restrictions to any water lines.
That's why we did not get water down, Paul B. Doc William Road, just because y'all would not relinquish the rights to the pipeline.
We don't have any rights.
But they
there.
dug it, it would be in Gaston County.
It doesn't
And
matter.
those right-
That doesn't matter.
2012, that was the story.
It doesn't matter whether it's in Gaston County or Lincoln County. As long as they can
Well,
get
I'm
the
talking about
easements.
Cleveland County.
As long as they can get the easements from NCDOT, they don't need it from us.
Okay, let's move on. The next person is Dick Shaw.
Me.
Okay.
Alright, my name is Dick Shaw. I own property on 344 Doc Regan Hunt Road, and I also own Lick Fork Creek down there where the cow pastures on the creek, and the water comes down on me and everything there in front of Bean's Rest Home. And I was in the hospital, had MRSA, dog broke my foot, had MRSA in my foot and everything for 6 months. And I was in Bean Rest Home, and I said, put me over there so I could look across the fence and see my property line there behind Stan Bean's greenhouses. And they did. Mr. Goonell, he was in 305, and I was in 303. So I could look across the fence there and see my property line. But, I own both creeks, and Delview separates the water. All the water on one side goes down Lick Fork, which I own, the creek and all. And then it comes back over here on Doc Hunt. I get the water off of it. It comes down Doc Hunt Road, and from up in there at the eye doctor, Dellinger's, all that water comes down there in front of my house. But I purchased my property from Doc Hunt. I own 35 acres there on Doc Hunt Road, and I bought it. Goonell, when did you tell me that land was open? Back in whenever 79 or 80, Larry. Whenever y'all come up to the store and you said that Hal and them was going to sell part of the old Doc Hunt estate, so I went over and had them survey me out 15 acres, and I bought the water because I was going to cut the timber out, and it had timber on it, and I was going to cut the timber out and build my house, and I did. I built it, and took me 10 years to build my house, but it's sitting back in there. But I sawed me over the timber and put it up and built it, me and my daddy and all of us. And Dean Carpenter worked over at Dixie Lumber Company. He was my carpenter. He stayed with me for 10 years until I got my house completed. So from 85 to 95. So anyhow, but I was in there, and then Hal come to me and said he needed some money. And I said, well, Hal, he said, I got some land I'll sell you back here. And he said, I ain't got no right of way to it. But he said, you got right of way to the land back there. And he said, I'll sell you about 20 acres. We'll have Frosty Hauser survey it out. And that was in 04. And I sold it to him. Me and Palmer Hosteller went down here to the lawyer's office. And Hal Strapp told Dan and all of his kids, Matthew and all of them, my money, my land. And he run on that. I gave him a good price, what he wanted for that 20 acres, and I bought it and paid it, and so now I own the right side from Doc Hunt about maybe a couple hundred feet, and then goes into Willie Benson's pond there, the center does, and goes all the way back down to the creek where they said they're going to put the sewer line, which is going to put it in a pump station over on the back 20, on the other side of the creek, because Hal wouldn't sell me the creek. He said, I can't sell you the creek because the city's gonna put in a sewer line. He said, I can sell you to the creek, but I can't sell you across the creek. I said, well, I'll go to the creek, and I was gonna buy it, and bought it, and I watered it in, and I had cows back then, me and my daddy and my brother and all of us, and I fenced it in and put my pasture fence back in there, and I put cows in it. So, and then I got down sick and had to sell my cows and everything, and wasn't able to look after them, and trees went down all over my fences while I was in the Beams Rest Home and all back this summer. Good thing I didn't have no cows in there. But anyhow, so I owned property, me and my sister. She's gonna come up here and speak in a minute. But now, my 15 acres, I got the right of way off of Doc Wehunt into that back 20. So I always call it the back 20. So I go in the back 20 back there through me and back in there so that she can get a right of way back there on the back 20. Because my nephew, he bought it, and he was just a little fella, and I didn't have the money to pay no X number of thousands of dollars back to buy that property from Hal, but my sister did. So we bought it, and I pastured it in. But my concern is I've got water on the back, and whenever they cut the timber out in 05, and they set them trees out in 05, they cut between me and Willie back up there on my pond now, it comes out on Doc Wehunt Road there. Both water comes out on Doc Wehunt.
Mr. Shull, I'm sorry, but your time's up.
It is?
Yes, sir.
Well, all I can say is I'm concerned about my water coming down on me, and I need to, but Big Kid, you come up and tell them more about my water coming down in Willie's Pond, and they're gonna have to take care of that. Okay, Big Kid.
Next person to speak is Francis and Philip Gregory.
That's one that bought back 20 from House Crack.
Okay. I need to know what your concern is when you first come up, instead of the history of your land and all. We need to know what you are concerned about the rezoning of the property.
The gentleman mentioned something about a buffer. My son, at 16 years of age, paid for the land and paid it off. He's paid county taxes, city taxes since he purchased. Okay, yeah, that's correct. I'm sorry. But he lives in Loris, works in Loris, but he paid the land off. And I think it's very admirable for a 16-year-old to say, I would like to have land near my family, because I grew up here. But if they put the project in, and I know the REA does own that right away, but, with his land being there, if they put that in, he definitely wanted a buffer put in, so to protect his land. The gentleman said something about the buffer. And then, we didn't want there to be a water problem, but for somebody from 16 to 33 paid what Hal wanted for the 20 acres of land, I think that's very admirable. And so I came here tonight from Loris, South Carolina, because he did get the 2 certified letters for somebody to be here to represent him, and he said, Mama, tell him that they've got to put a buffer in. So, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, Gregory. All right, next person to speak is Pete Crowder.
Name's Pete Crowder, live on Delview Road, and my concern is annexing in this property, because I own property right next to it. One of my concerns was Delview Road, but he said that they was gonna block that off and not that little road that's into it and come out on Delview Road, because Jill knows Delview Road, it's terrible out there now, because we cannot handle any more traffic. And right in front of my house, they replaced 2 telephone poles in a week where people's come around that curve and wrecked and everything. All right, he was talking about the water, that y'all can up the production of water and sewer and everything and handle that. I talked to some people today at Dewey Beam Estates, those big nice houses, big lots, and several of them said they have low water pressure over there. And one of them told me, he said, I'm afraid if my house would catch on fire, there wouldn't be enough water pressure over here to handle it. Then another one told me that their water was dirty. She put a filter system in her house, and she said they put the filter in June, And right now, it was so muddy that they're gonna have to change it again. So they got a problem at Dewey Beans Estate with no more houses than over there. What kind of problem are they gonna have putting, he said 400 and some houses in there now. So I think we need to be a lot more into this thing, check it out a lot more than what you already have before you vote on this to bring that many houses in to Cherryville. Because I personally, myself, I don't think Cherryville can handle that much. The fire department, the police department, the schools and everything, I don't think they got the capacity to handle that. So that's what I've got to say.
Thank you, Pete. Okay, Stephen Gannell. Tell him, Stephen.
I'm the owner and operator of Pecan Ridge Farm Incorporated, also on Gannell Holdings on some land back there. I live at 1633 Shelby Highway. My main concern here is tonight is first of all, infrastructure, like Mr. Crowder just said. I don't believe that we have the capacity in our school systems, our water and sewer to handle this. I have kids in our own elementary school here. We're already short-staffed in our elementary school. As he said, I do have rental houses, other places in town. We have problems with water and sewer all the time. And on top of that, I think the proposal is to turn some of what is now in front of the Napa store into possibly a 4-lane to be turning zones. Those folks are already frustrated. They're already close to Highway 150. The traffic there is gonna be a little bit more than, not a little bit, but a lot more than what it is now. The folks on Acre Drive, they're sold on this gate. I'm not sure what this gate's gonna do. It's gonna stop traffic during construction, but that's standing behind a tree when you're looking at the forest, because the problem is gonna be once construction is complete, that's when all the traffic's really gonna hit the street. And so I am like Mr. Crowder here. I think that we need to do a little bit more due diligence. I'm not opposed to change. I'm for the growth of the city of Cherryville. I'm for folks buying land, doing what they want to do with it, because I've done it myself. I've been up here at this podium defending myself, just like those 3 gentlemen back there. And so, but I think we need to do some more due diligence and come to terms, because we cannot handle that type of infrastructure. Just last year, Mr. Fisher had a wreck and passed away in the creek because the creek overflowed right there. I think we need to address that. We don't have the culverts and stuff to handle this water. These gentlemen back here is gonna say we're gonna put retention ponds in, and I can go along with that to a certain extent. But they do make 100-year flood maps for a reason. And so I want to do our due diligence here, because I am the future of our community. We farm, we have a confined animal operation that concerns me. If any of you are aware of what's going on with the hog farmers in eastern North Carolina, they shut a lot of them down because of these folks like there who come in and made it a human health issue when those hog farmers have been there for years. I've seen this crowd do the same thing in Union County with poultry farms, just like we are. And so he can get up here and say that there's we're gonna put in a 100-foot buffer, but now he's reduced it down from 640 to 490. I don't need 490 household moms drinking coffee on their back porch on Saturday morning calling to complain about our chicken farm. And so if you are gonna approve this, I'd like for the city of Cherryville to write me some type of thing saying I am grandfathered in, I can go on about my business, and I'll go on home and go to bed, because I got things to do tomorrow. That's all I'm asking you to do. And so, I'm not opposed to these gentlemen buying this land and doing that, but I'm saying we need to do our due diligence as a city, because we do not have, we can't handle more buses on Highway 150 in the morning time. We can't handle, so it's not gonna do nothing for, what is it, Electric Cities or City Electric? What is it?
Electric City.
Electric Cities. Is that gonna help our city out by building this, by getting us out of the bind with what we're in? Because it's not, because REA What was the percentage that REA is gonna have? Is it 90?
I think they'll have 100%.
I have 100% of it, so it's not gonna do anything to get us out of that bind. And I think there's gonna be, 5 acres up front there where they're gonna put restaurants and stuff. Councilman Parker, do you need another restaurant in town?
How many empty business buildings we got sitting in Cherryville right now that nobody wants?
There's 45 houses for sale today in the area code of 28021. 45 today, at the end of the day. And so they're gonna do 50 a year. Why don't we fill up what we got first? I mean, does anybody have any questions?
490, how many years is that gonna take to build all them houses? We're talking, not to mention how many years to get the infrastructure in place. We're talking possibly next 20 years of construction.
I mean, and also, can somebody clarify this for me? Because we are in Waco Fire District.
Okay, I'm sorry, Stephen, your time.
Well, we might do a filibuster. But we're in Waco Fire Department.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's only fair to the other people.
Okay, well, just answer this, because it's something, we're in Waco Fire Department, and then so Cherryville, see, are they gonna buy that out? Was that the zoning meeting? How's that gonna work? Can somebody fill us in on that? Because those tax dollars are not gonna go to the Cherryville Fire Department, they're gonna go to Waco.
It has been, they've asked to be annexed into the city limits, so it would fall within the Cherryville Fire.
Okay, that's all I asked for, you to give me a clarified answer on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Staci Redden and James Redford, if you want to speak as a group, you certainly can.
I'm just here, my concern is the traffic that they have, proposed to be a, alternate entrance exit for the development. That road is not it's not really a road, actually. It's a little drive into our driveways, mine and Mr. Knight's. So my concern is this, it's right at, like, my driveway comes out and then the pavement stops. My grandfather actually paid for that to be paved. That's not part of Acre Circle. That is not part of Acre Circle. Acre Circle goes around, and my grandfather paid to have that paved so he could get in and out of his driveway. Okay, so all that being said, then they're wanting to open that up as an alternate entrance and exit. Okay, so I know they've reduced the number of houses, but we're still talking about 800 plus cars. And I know they'll have the 150 entrance and exit. But even if you take half of that, how am I even going to get out of my driveway with all that traffic coming in and out? Acre Circle is not that big. So you've got the road coming around here, so you're going to have traffic going this way to get out, to go down to the stoplight, which you can't hardly get out of now. It's a problem. So that's my concern, is just that increased amount of traffic. Are we going to have to widen the roads? What's that going to do to my property? How much of my driveway are you going to take? It's a problem. That entrance, what they're calling the entrance and alternate exit, it's going to be a problem right there.
I think I can add to that. So, Ralph Hall built that house that we live in, her grandfather, moved his parents in with them. Her parents lived there after they died, and when they passed, we took the house. So that whole neighborhood, Ralph built a lot of those houses in that neighborhood. And it's just simply a circle, 8 or 10 houses.
It's not even a one-way road, that circle.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
only, you can only get like one.
It's not very many houses on the street, and it's quiet, it's established, been there for late 60s.
1960 is when he built, yeah.
And honestly, it'd be over my dead body that somebody's gonna drive a whole bunch of cars through that neighborhood. That's completely unacceptable, completely.
Yeah, I don't think it can handle that anyway, I just don't.
If you wanna build a 600 some plus, that's fine. There's a 4-lane highway out there on the other side of Walmart, knock it out. But this little bottleneck down here at the end of Cherryville, that's as tight as can be, where the houses just get tighter and tighter against the road. And then you're gonna build a big old subdivision down there? No. Completely unacceptable.
Well, not only that, but you got the new development and the new construction is going on Black Rock School Road. So you're gonna also add in the traffic from that, that's gonna be coming down Delview Road as well. So you have to take in that influx, plus the influx of what they've got proposed. And if you're, even if there's 2 entrances and exits, when you've got 800 people, I mean, come on. I just don't think it can handle that. I don't think that's the way to go. Not only that, but you're not only just gonna get people going home and coming out that way, but then you're gonna get people cutting through there to go through that neighborhood to get the food line or get out to 150 that way. I just don't, I think there just needs to be, like, it really needs to be thought about. There needs to be extensive studies done.
Beating and
That's-
banging and booming day and night, all night
Sleep here
long.
today, 'cause I work third shift. There's gonna be a lot of people, construction workers probably getting cussed out there today, I'm just saying.
I mean, honestly, like, you wanna build a big old subdivision? That's great. I don't know who wants to live in Cracker Box, but whatever. But there's a 4-lane highway out there that Carolina is responsible for, Carolina Freight. That's the only reason we got it. But it is stupendous. Broad, wide open, put all the traffic out there on that end. The only reason that you're gonna have a whole bunch of excess down here is when they're going to school. They're taking their children to school, or they're going to Shelby. But they're not having to traipse all the way through the town to go to Walmart.
Okay, I'm sorry, your time's up now.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bobby Ballard.
Hey, and I'm so glad you won, Mayor Bean. I'm 3. Had you sign in my yard. And I just want to, I'm Bobby Ballard, and I live at 1245 Delview Road. Grew up in that neighborhood with John, with Reggie back there. Okay, we have a great neighborhood. So I just want to reiterate kind of what some others said. I think that you want to build a development fund, look at Dewey Bean, build something like that. That is acceptable, that is not trashy or going to be trashy in the near future. And it will be. It will be, because the HOA won't be held up. It won't be. And the other thing is, I would like to ask the council to please, before you even consider this, and you may have, and I'm not aware of it, but maybe have an independent consulting company to come up with how it's actually going to benefit the city of Cherryville. Actually, bottom line, the 400 now houses plus that can benefit besides water and sewer. How is it really going to benefit us? It's not going to benefit our schools. It's not going to benefit those 2 highways. And it's certainly not going to benefit Acre Circle, which is it's not even a Cherryville Road size now. And you can't even get 1 car sometimes around the curve, much less 2. You know, so I just want that to be considered before we jump into something that we're the city of Cherryville, which is me and my children, or 1 child right now, the other lives in Charlotte, but they're gonna have to be burdened with those costs of what happens in the future with that. So thank y'all so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I want to thank all the people that spoke under Citizens to be heard. And believe me, these people have been taking notes. Council's been considering a lot of things prior to this meeting. And I want you to know that we're looking at the long-range plan, and we will be addressing this later on in our meeting tonight, so you may want to stick around.
Well, can I say something? I wasn't gonna be speaking, but how you gonna do that anyway? And I'm talking about the police. Because how many policemen do we have now? How many do we have? Come on out here, Popo.
Yeah, sure can. Thank you.
How many policemen do you have on the job? Because that's gonna be another thing. you gonna have to worry about? The
We've
police,
got 14 full-time.
14,
So how many do
okay.
you estimate you're gonna have to add to the?
Yeah, you gonna have to add
That's
some.
something that we're going to do in the feasibility study if it comes to that point. to see.
And like I said, council, hasn't been just
Yeah.
thrown at us. We're looking at a lot of different ends. We're looking at a feasibility study. We're looking at a cost impact to the city. We just don't jump into things without doing thorough research on it. So we've got a lot we've got to take into consideration. You people here tonight is part of what we wanted to hear. We wanted to hear your opinions on it, but we're not going to take any action until we've done a thorough study on everything. So
And there's more revenue than just water and sewer. There's property taxes. You pay city property tax. That's part of it.
When these
too. So
people are
there's-
gone, though, who's gonna pay the taxes to upkeep all the stuff in this neighborhood? Me and you, right? Who's gonna pay those taxes? Because it's gonna cost over the years to keep that property up. I mean, it's not like it's just there, nothing to keep up, just like, say, the garbage truck, the police department, the fire department. Who's gonna pay that?
It'd be just the same as we pay property tax now. They will have property taxes as well.
I'm
So-
just saying,
Our
they're not
property-
gonna pay the property tax for the whole deal. It's gonna come across for all the citizens of Cherryville.
somebody's going to pay it, whoever.
Me, if I'm still living.
No, I
I'm
mean,
not dead.
whoever owns the property is going to pay property
I guess
tax.
what we really want to know is if there's gonna be a city tax increase for all the citizens of Cherryville.
Somewhere down the line.
That hasn't been planned at this time, no. So,
I'm not talking about that.
let's go on. The next item on our agenda is special recognition of city employees for their years of service. And I'm not sure if any of these people are here. Is Bobby Dale Reynolds here? Bobby Dale works in our recreation department, and he is being recognized for 5 years of service to the city of Cherryville, signed by the mayor and city manager Jeff Cash. I don't think Bobby Dale is with us tonight. How about Jason Black? Jason Black's not with us, and his recognition, this certificate is awarded to Jason Black in recognition of 10 years of service to the city of Cherryville. Again, signed by Mayor and City Manager Jeff Cash. And finally, the last one is Charlie here. Okay, looks like we had 100% not here. And they must have found out about all the people that wanted to speak tonight. But anyway, his certificate is awarded to Charlie Knipe, who works in our Public Works Department, in recognition of, you ready for this, 20 years of service to the city of Cherryville, and signed by Mayor and City Manager Jeff Cash. And I'd like for all of you to give all three of these people a big hand for their service to the city. Okay, the next item that to come before City Council is some housekeeping that we have to do, and that's consideration of appointment to the Cherryville ABC Board. And our liaison to the ABC Board is here. He has made a recommendation. The lady that is up for reappointment is Gall Jenkins. And Gall, if you'd stand up, please. She's done a great job with our ABC Board. And if you'd like to say anything, Gall, you have the podium.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the vote of that we've done good. We've got a surprise for y'all tonight, but I want to tell you first, in 2019 to 2020, we have given the city from the ABC Board. We don't keep our profits. We just had our audit, and he said everything was doing good. And last year, we gave $36,000 to the city for projects like everybody here that needs. Now this year, for 20 and 21, we are giving you $41,000, and this is according to some records from Alan Fraley. So I don't do the books. I'm on the board. and we make the recommendations, and, we all get along, and we work real hard for the city of Cherryville. And this is a check, and I will give it to the mayor. We'll see if we make a smile come out.
Oh, thank you so much, but I wish I got to keep that, but I'm afraid I don't. It won't be in my hands long. It's our finance director, Dixie Wall. Are you here?
Oh, yeah.
You might as well come and get it, because you'll be asking me for it at daybreak tomorrow morning.
I guess we need to tell everybody that's here $10,000 more.
$10,000 more.
Revenue, so
And
it
that
will
is
come
great.
in handy.
Y'all do a good job, and Alan, I understand, that you've had record profits.
Yes.
And I think that's because Alan is stocking a lot more items that people, specialty items that people can't find in the other stores.
That's
And
true.
people's coming from Lincoln, from Charlotte, from Gastonia, from Shelby, Bessemer City, and they come to Cherryville because they know they can find the product here. So I'm proud of our ABC store. I'm proud of the board members, and especially the employees. I understand that they're very cordial when you go in there, so I think for our liaison, Malcolm Parker, as well, and he has recommended that Gall Jenkins be appointed for another 3-year term. So what is the pleasure of the council?
I make a motion to reappoint Gall Jenkins to another 3-year term of the ABC board,
I'll second.
as recommended by me.
Okay?
Good, Gary.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Gall Jenkins for another 3-year term. Any other discussion? Any questions by council? If not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There is none.
Very good.
Congratulations,
Thank you,
Gall.
Council. I appreciate it.
Okay.
We've also got our Christmas orders in, so if you need a odd gift for somebody, come on down.
I think I know why they've got such great profits. They're hyping their business as we speak. Okay, the next item is item 10 on the agenda, and that is consideration of public hearing, and this is in reference to rezoning 406 North Mulberry Street. And for those of you that are not familiar with this, that is the old foundry, which Dr. Dellinger's the next block over is 406 North Mulberry. They want to rezone it from general manufacturing to residential 9. They want to build a house there. We have our planning and zoning director, Derek Mackey, to hear, but at this time, I would like to entertain a motion that we go into public hearing at this time.
So moved.
Make a motion, go into public hearing.
Second.
Have 2 motions and 1 second that we go into public hearing. So we are now considered in public hearing. So Derek, if you'll lead us through this.
Hey, Eugene and Betty Corbench of 117 Mary Lane, Cherryville. They're actually have 406 North Mulberry rezoned, which is parcel 130027 by the county. They want to go from R9 to GMC. On October 18th, we had a meeting with the Planning and Zoning Board. They unanimously voted to agreement to bring recommendation to change the zoning of it.
Okay, do I have any citizen that would like to be heard in reference to the public hearing to the rezoning of this property? If so, at this time, if you will come forward, you may be heard.
This is Mr. Corbench.
I just want to build a house on a piece of property, and it was commercial, now I'd like it residential. There's not much, that's straightforward.
I think that's as simple as you can.
And it's supposedly it passed the zoning board, so you guys are the next trip.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else that would like to speak at this time in regards to the public hearing? Okay. If not, do I have a motion that we go out of public hearing at this time? I have a motion and second to exit public hearing. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, well, now we'll have the statement of consistency from City of Cherryville in requirement of section 19.1.10 of the City of Cherryville zoning ordinance. The Cherryville City Council held a public hearing on November the 8th, 2021 to consider rezoning parcel number 305803. And after the public hearing and discussion of the rezoning, the council draws the following conclusions. One, council, is it the council's conclusion that the proposed rezoning is or is not consistent with the City of Cherryville land use plan adopted in August 2012?
Yes.
It is.
Okay, number two, the council finds the proposed rezoning is or is not reasonable and is or is not in the public interest. This conclusion is based on the following.
It is.
Yes, on both.
Okay, so we have is on both questions asked, and at this time, would the council like to adopt the rezoning of the said property?
Make the motion, we adopt it.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt the rezoning as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, there is none. Item number 11, we will now consider the public hearing regarding rezoning of the property that everyone's talked about tonight, and that is 1404 Shelby Highway, GIS parcels 160116, 160117, 160120, 216819, and 305089. And this rezoning is a request from R40 to commercial, R9 residential. And we have our planning and zoning director, Derek Mackey. Do I have a motion that we go into public hearing in regards to this rezoning?
Motion to enter public hearing.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to go into public hearing in regards to the rezoning of this property. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, there is none. Derek, you have the floor.
Yeah, Wellsprings Carolina Investment, they did come before the application to the city to go from R40 to special use R9, cluster, special use RMF and B2. The zoning board met October the 18th in regards to this rezoning. That time, we listened to everybody, all the complaints and concerns. The board came to vote. We had a motion to carry it out. We didn't have a second. Yeah.
We just want to make sure everyone hears you.
Right, there wasn't a second made, so the motion died with no action taken. So that's my recommendation to bring towards the city council. They did not make an action for or against.
So the planning and zoning board actually basically dumped it in the lap of the city council at this time. But we did talk with COG, which is better known as Central Carolina Council of Government, who gives us recommendations on items such as this. The staff from COG recommends that the hearing be continued to allow adequate time for a corrected site plan and development conditions. These updates should be provided by the developer with ample time to be assessed by city staff to ensure that infrastructure is adequate to accommodate the development requested. If the applicant cannot agree to modify the application and conditions to address the issues outlined herein, staff at that time recommends that this request for rezoning be denied. Statement of consistency and reasonability is that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the City of Cherryville Comprehensive Plan, which recommends residential growth in this area. In light of the new transportation corridors and expected growth, the board considers an affirmative vote to be reasonable and in the public interest. However, the second statement of consistency and reasonability is motion to deny. The proposed rezoning is inconsistent with the City of Cherryville's comprehensive plan, which calls for lower density residential, and the proposed project is a much higher density than envisioned in this area. Therefore, the board confirms an affirmative vote is not to be reasonable and not in the public interest at this time. So in other words, what this basically says is we want more time to do our feasibility studies. If they're asking for annexation, it can be addressed at this time. We can actually be specific in what we want there, what type of density, what type of housing, what type of structures. And then we would present it to Wellsprings, and before we annex, all this would be worked out with City Council and with our Planning and Zoning Board also. So is there any questions by anyone at this time as to what this public hearing deals with? If not, then I ask that we go out of...
Wait a sec. Did you have something?
I'm Hilda Bates. In East Main Street here in Cherryville. My concern is on this cluster of an R9. Are we saying that our normal R9 zoning is 9,000 square feet per lot? Is that going to be consistent with this development? So you're not going to, it's going to be a 9, but you're not going to have 9,000 square feet. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's a concurrence.
That's not what. That is not what's being asked for at this time.
What's your time frame there? So that's for an extension, what's your time frame?
It all depends on the feasibility study of how long it takes. But I'm sure we will have something at our next council meeting. We will come back and
Well, another letter
give an
be sent out to the
announcement.
residents that it affects about the next meeting that it's gonna be talked about.
Yeah, I will make sure I send them out like I did this time.
Yeah,
So,
we'll
'cause
be-
I didn't get a second letter. I got one about the zoning board, but I didn't get one about this meeting. I just found out about this meeting, because my neighbor actually come over and knocked on my door last night.
Okay. Let's get through the formalities and close session. Do I have a motion to go out of closed session?
Make a motion to go out of closed session.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Okay, and do I have a motion that that this be continued at this time
I
with
make a-
no action taken by council?
Make a motion to continue it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to continue this with no decision made at this time. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There is none. It is unanimous. Okay. Next item, item 12, is consideration to place city vehicles on surplus inventory. And we have our police chief, Cam Jinks, here. Anyone that wants to leave at this time, you're welcome to. We still have other business to conduct, but if you want to...
Yeah, 7:14. Right here.
Thank you for coming, Bobby.
Thank y'all.
Chris, thank you for coming. Julie, thank you for coming. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Mr. I want to say Harrelson.
That goes, went with that check.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Chief, you have the floor on the surplus inventory, and that would be, let's go down here.
12.
Wow.
Item 12.
Right there.
Yes, found it. That's on page 41 of your tablets.
I believe each of got this memo, and basically what it is, it's 4 patrol cars, 2 vehicles are 2007 model, one's a 2006. The newest one's a 2015, but basically the mileage is getting really high. They've had a lot of repairs. It's just going to get too costly. The newer car, it's got the lowest miles at 90,000, but the repairs to the fuel system is just going to be in upwards of $3,000, possibly $4,000. So we just don't see it feasible. No, these are not. The number 2 and number 3 was the vehicles that we got from, I believe, County Police and Belmont for $1. So we got our use out of them.
We got dollars worth in it.
Yes, without a doubt.
Okay.
I make a motion to list these vehicles as surplus to be sold. Oh, you got another?
I want to tack on one more if you don't mind.
That's not our fire truck, is it?
Not the devil. It is the oldest one we have. It's 34 years old. It's the one we just replaced this year. We kept hold of it until we got all the equipment transferred over. It's a 1988 emergency one pumper. 52,900 miles, 750-gallon tank, Hale single-stage pump, 1,500 gallons per minute. On the used truck vendor list, they're going anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. This will be put on Gov Deals, and highest bidder will
Is
win.
that not low mileage?
It is.
52,000?
Most fire trucks do have low mileage.
We don't have a place to store that for.
Well, they recommend you
Faithful.
replace it at 30 years, and it's 4 years past due. So we would have no need for
It
it.
is a 1988.
Yes.
So evidently we haven't used that pumper too often.
It is our reserve. That's what we get ISO points for.
Your request is that we put it added on with the
Yes,
other
sir.
surplus inventory that will
Yes,
go
sir.
on eBay.
Is that the ladder truck on the other side of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. I was going to point that out, but yeah, it's just a bad picture. The ladder truck is on the other side.
Okay. Okay, would you
All right,
like
I
to
make a
change them?
motion to list these 5 vehicles as surplus and list them on Gov Deals.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to list the 5 vehicles on Gov Deals for purchase on surplus inventory. Any other questions by any council member? If not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There is none. It carries. Okay, we'll move to item 13, which is other business. I have a couple things myself I want to bring up. One of them is, I was just informed tonight by Will Puckett that the Little Iron Men are having their banquet on November the 28th at the COC. And he wanted everyone to know that this is not just one team, this is all the teams. And he also informed me that one of the teams is still in the state playoffs at this time. But on November the 28th at COC of First Baptist Church, they will be having their banquet. The other item of business I would like to bring up is we are having our city revival, as I said in my comments earlier, will be Friday, starting Friday night at 6:30, and then we'll have it again, the Faith Fair, on Saturday at 2 o'clock. We'll be blocking off the streets. A lot of the churches are participating. I don't know exactly how many churches. Does anyone know how many? 17 of the churches are participating in this. And something that came up right at the last minute was we are required by the city to furnish porta-johns. and we will have to get those on order today. I called Brandon, and he informed me that that doesn't go through Public Works, that goes through the chamber, through Mary Beth Tackett. I called her and asked her to get me a price so I know what to present tonight. The cost for 2 of the porta-johns, and it's required we have to have a handicap because of ADA, American Disabilities Act. We have to have a handicap accessible where they can get a wheelchair in it. And then, so we tried to get out as economically as we could, and that would bring another porta-john in. And this is going to be at a cost of $945 for Friday and Saturday. So I will have to have action by council to go ahead and get these porta-johns for this coming Friday and Saturday.
I make a motion to order the porta-johns for this weekend.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to order the porta-johns for our revival, which will be Friday and Saturday of this week. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, there is none. This time I will entertain any other business from any council member at this time that they would like to bring.
I just want to personally thank each one of you for reaching out to us during my daughter's heart surgery. Those texts and calls meant a lot to us. She came through very well, and it's going to make 100% recovery. But it just really means a lot that I sit here with you guys that pray and that care for people. So I can't say enough. It was really touching. So thank you. I just want to thank each one of you. Appreciate you.
Thank you. That's always a concern of ours, is for our fellow council members, not only from city council and the mayor, but from our citizens as well. We always wish the best for our citizens. So thank you for sharing that with us, John. Anything else from city council? Councilman Freeman?
Brandon, can I get a report on the sidewalks? Have you made any progress on that yet?
Yes, sir.
Elm Street and Academy Street?
Yes, sir. It's, we have made progress on both. We have issued a PO to
Bean Code to fix those. He's went around and marked them. He was supposed to start on them last week. I'm hoping he starts on them this week.
Okay. Anything else from council? Any council member have anything else to bring tonight?
Can we get an update from David, maybe at where we stand now and where they're going now? They look like they're wrapping it up on Main Street, and I know we've had to wash some of it off.
No, they've not even started on that, but the water lines are almost done down to through Pink Street and on both sides of Main Street to Depot. They are running down it's Pink Street now. They're at the intersection making those hook-ons now, and then they'll be coming up, connecting behind Hauser Drug and starting the drill all the way over behind the South Alley to get that done. The gas line services are almost complete. They'll be connecting those to everybody on North Mountain. And I went and met with all the merchants this past week and gave them the instructions, so they'll be coming in and rehooking up their gas. And the sewer lines construction is supposed to be done by the end of November, isn't it, Brandon? So the sewer project is almost completely done. After Christmas, they will begin working on the sidewalks, the bump outs, and everything else. That's going to be the fun part, yes.
I talked to Cajun and some of their workers, and they said they were ahead of schedule.
Yes,
so
sir, they are.
But that's just the sewer lines. And you may want to tell them also that, or I guess it would be through you, David, about the power lines that were taken down and that we're redistributing those so that you're going to be able to, from Beam Construction to Elm Street, you'll look up our street, you won't see a power line going across the street at all. So all those are going to be buried or rerouted in some form.
Most of them will be underground. They're going to coordinate that with
Installation of the light the lighting systems that are going down. I think there's 21 new poles. That's why we're waiting on to order more veterans flags so we have somewhere to put them. We're not sure when those will get in. The order was somewhere between 16 to 18 weeks, and they come from Canada. So they've been ordered, but of course we know how things are going with that right now. But all the electrical will be underground. And we're hoping to have everyone, we're mailing a letter out to them this week of all those that have to move their connection from the front sidewalk to the back sidewalk. And we're mailing a letter out to them this week and explaining the process to go through that and the grant you guys approved earlier this year to help them out with that.
I've had a lot of positive on this. The merchants, I think, have been most gracious about giving us the time to do this. I had, one was talking about his phone line had been disconnected inadvertently, and he had to deal with losing some revenue over that. But that was not the city. Didn't blame the city at all. That was AT&T that let them cut those lines when they shouldn't have.
If they were not marked properly.
But I've got one message from a lady, said, what is going on? I bought a new car, came to the Mexican restaurant, I came uptown. By the time I got home, my car was full of mud. And I put one word, progress. And I told her that she would be tickled to death if she came back in the spring and looked at downtown. I wasn't telling her to be delayed that long in returning to our city, but I think the citizens and the merchants have been very gracious in dealing with the construction.
And we communicate with
all
them
the citizens,
2 or 3
I thank you. I
times.
love you for what you do for our city and how tolerable you are on a lot of things we do. So we got plenty of cookies over here that my pastor, oh, wait a minute. News media says not all of them are going, but our pastor, Dr. Vince Hebner from First Baptist, he loves to cook. And he brought us refreshments tonight, so municipal clerk, whoever's to say the prayer at next meeting, make sure they know that we're getting served. Okay. Do I have anything from staff that they need to bring up before council tonight? Staff's happy? That's good. Any citizen? Okay.
I should have signed up and didn't know. My name is Ryan Hunter. I'm 476 Krause, North Carolina, but I have a P.O. box in Cherryville, if that counts.
You don't live in it?
No, I don't live in it. I live by it, yes. I've also been a volunteer firefighter here for 23 years. Mr. Pacor came up earlier, and I know the council knows this. They know this. I just kind of want to make it public that he accused of David Day and Jeff Cash, who is by this discretion, he is my uncle, of hijacking the PBS thing from the museum. And I actually called PBS to find out what was the problem, what happened, and PBS told me that they did not hijack the show from him. They I talked to Mr. Pacor and I gave him what was going to happen, and he was on Facebook just bashing the city and bashing people who didn't need to be bashed. And I just want to kind of make it public that that they did not hijack the show from him. PBS is actually going to do I've told 3 shows for Cherryville, so Cherryville is getting more publicity. And he was what he originally posted on this Facebook post was he was going to talk to he didn't have time, obviously. He was going to come to the city and tell each one of y'all need to take an ethics course. And I was baffled by that because he himself went on his volunteer Facebook page and posted on the museum page his personal thoughts. And I was like, that's not not ethical. And so I'm like, I just want to kind of make it public. Like I said, council knows the truth. Most people know that. I actually just took the time to find out the truth. And I worked in news for a while. I know how it works. The city cannot tell the news what to do. Michael knows that. When he posted that on the museum, I was very, very baffled by it. And I just I was like, man, I grew up in Cherryville, my whole for the past few years. And I was like, I knew the city wouldn't do that. Why would the city, why would the city do that? I helped the museum for years. I've loaded stuff in the museum. I have been there at nights. Mr. He's done an amazing job on Facebook. I enjoyed seeing the pictures. I had he stopped doing that. But I just felt very concerned about what he was saying on a volunteer museum Facebook post. And so I just wanted to just kind of get out and say it in public, and from someone who's not on the council and not really, I mean, I'm part of the city, but not really in the city. And just saying that, I just felt it was very wrong what he did. And I don't normally do this. I had nothing written. I didn't sign up because I wasn't sure he was going to be here or not. Because apparently he has a lot of heart problems. I just say that what they didn't do that. My friend David and my uncle Jeff didn't do what they did, and I just wanted to just step in and just help, prove that it wasn't the city. As I feel that someone just took something very personal to him, and was trying to drag other people into it when it wasn't.
Your comments will be part of our minutes.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I know that's fine.
And as far as ethics, right now, there's 3 of us that will be taking an ethics class because it's required. Every time you win an election, you're required to take an ethics class within a certain time limit. And the other ones that weren't reelected or have already been elected, they've had their ethics classes also. So
like I said, I'm not very. I probably picked a strong wrong night to come when he says he's going to come, because everybody's going to talk about the housing, which is a very much more important issue.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Anything else to come before council tonight? Okay. If not, do I have a motion from council for adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned.